Freshers week at uni. First night I'm out, I see the most beautiful girl I'd ever seen in my life. She's tall, exotic in a way I can't quite place. I'd later learn she was Egyptian, a little bigger, but I'm into that. No one's paying attention to her, so I introduce myself. We do the usual dance of am I just complimenting you because we're both girls and that's what we do, or is this gay? Eventually we go out for a smoke and I think fuck it, YOLO, so I lean in and kiss her. She doesn't even finish her fag before dragging me off to her room. I spent the night between her legs and it was glorious, electric. Unlike anything I'd experienced before. I could have died there and been happy. Her body was akin to the manna God gave my ancestors, I'm sure of it. The next morning we had breakfast and I wrote down my number for her, and she promised she'd ring me. Only she didn't, and months of torment followed. I'm not sure why I didn't just go buy her college or something, but I was like, 18 and a little naive and dramatic, so. Maybe a year later I ran into her again and she nearly started crying and said she'd lost the paper with my number, and she didn't know which college I was in and she'd never seen me around, and she'd been so desperate to find me but hadn't had any luck because we hadn't even exchanged surnames. Long story short, we dated for a few years after and it was an excellent relationship. The breakup was rough but I still think of her fondly. Too satisfying. 20F. I had just come out of a 3-year relationship with the only guy I had ever been intimate with. Thought, fuck it, I'm gonna go party and live it up. First night out being single. And accidentally met the most amazing person in the world. In the line for my first club. I had no idea what I was doing, but I knew I was safe with him and we had amazing chemistry. He was a little older and knew exactly what to do and when. He literally told me his thing was getting a girl off and going down on them. We ended up seeing each other a few times a week as FWB for a few months before he went back to his home country. I thought he actually liked me, 2 dates, and just sat on my bed looking defeated and sad after he told me to consider it a one-night stand and showed himself out. I never willingly had one, I was always tricked into thinking it was more. Felt pretty awful, honestly. He told you it was a one-night stand after? Yup. We met with an American dating site, so I guess he thought he got permission to try that shit. I let him have it when he contacted me the next day pretending nothing was wrong / wanting to do it again. Was visiting my older sister at grad school when I was a university sophomore. Her roommates had friends visiting as well. Really hit it off with a guy who was super cute, and funny and kind. We all ended up going to a play and grabbed dinner before going to a party. Him and I ended up hooking up in my sister's guest room that night. He was the 3rd guy I ever slept with and first / only one-night stand. He was so sweet. The next morning, brought in coffee, and we cuddled and talked for quite some time. He asked me for my number and I gave it to him. And we texted back and forth, tried to set up a time for us to see each other again. We lived 3 hours away, but I was so shy about the entire situation and was completely blind to the fact that he liked me a lot. Confirmed by sister and her roommate a few months later. We are still friends on Facebook for a while, but haven't really talked outside of Facebook comments. Only person that I've ever thought what if about. He ended up moving to Palo Alto for his startup later that year, and was retired before 30. I'm happily engaged now, and I believe he might be too. Wish the guy all the best. One of the few people I've met that seems like a very genuine and compassionate human being. First hookup was my first time, actually. So one of the guys I knew from school was house sitting right down the street for me, told me I should come over, there's a pool table and stuff. So I did. We started playing pool and I asked him to show me how it's done, so he got real close showing me how to properly hold the stick and line up the shot, and that was the catalyst. Next thing we know we're making out and grinding. Then we ended up doing it right there on the pool table. It was pretty good. I didn't know it at the time, but looking back it's still one of my favorite sex memories. And he was pretty big, so some of it was a little uncomfortable, but it wasn't like I hadn't been penetrated before. I had a dildo already by then. It was just different being attached to someone else and with them in control of it. I have to say, having casual sex is different for me than sex with a romantic partner. It's still really fun, but I definitely prefer it when there's a deep emotional connection as well. Casual sex is an exploration of sensations, and romantic sex is expressing love. And it can be the other thing as well, I guess. As I've matured and explored myself sexually, I've found that I prefer some degree of emotional connection to my sex partners. I prefer FWBs over one-night stands. Then it's still some kind of expression of love for me, but not the same. It's hard to describe. Well, actually the only one-night stand I did was back in high school when I lost my virginity. I never saw it as some holy thing I need to cherish. One night at a party, I got with a stranger in the back of his car. It was bad sex, like tiny car. I'm quite tall, he was shorter than me. Whole time paranoid someone would see us. Neither of us finished. Very awkward, yet he really wanted to take me on a date properly afterwards. I feel horrible because I wasn't truly interested in him, and in a way I led him on. The one thing I am proud of was I didn't ghost him. The next morning I apologized straight to his face, and that was that. Relax, it's very intimidating and may not be the greatest thing at first, but you only know what you like if you practice. I recommend either letting them know you are a virgin or that you are nervous. This is because it allows you to go into it slow and easy, and they might even guide you if they are not virgins themselves. Use protection. It is quite hard to get a girl off on just penetration alone. I was surprised how many guys didn't know that, to be honest. Also, multiple times I had sex and we both didn't finish. At first I thought it was because of me and was very embarrassed. But it can happen for a number of reasons: too tired, drank too much, not feeling it anymore, etc. Communication is key. It was last June/July, and up until that point I had been strict by only sleeping with people I was in a committed relationship with. It was awful. There was zero physical attraction, his dick was small, his mom was in the next room, Family Guy was playing in the background. Did I mention we were both 23? I felt like a teenager. Anyway, he ended up finishing, taking off the condom and then putting his raw dick back in me. Ugh. Thank you. Please like and subscribe.